Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Tea Time, the podcast. And on today's episode, I am joined with the lovely Stephanie Rubio of Soverve Marketing based in Central Florida. Of course, I'm going to give her the stage to introduce herself because I believe that nobody could introduce yourself better than yourself. But before I let her do that, I just want to let you all know how special Stephanie is. She's near and dear to my heart, and she's one of those people who I have been able to make a genuine connection with in the online space. So, hi, Stephanie. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, Cassia. Thank you so much for that intro. You're so sweet.
So, before you introduce yourself, what is
hmm
in your cup? What are we drinking today for tea time?
Okay. So today I'm having my bulletproof coffee. I follow a keto lifestyle, so that is what is in my cup currently, and
Right?
some water. Always water. But yeah, that's what's in my cup today.
Oh, nice. And let me tell you, I love your tip on the Folgers because I was in the grocery yesterday
Yes.
and I saw it and I was like, how did I never see this before? Like
Yeah.
I kind of like dismissed those mainstream brands and I'm walking through
Right.
the aisles and it's like, wait, this is a valid option. This is a valid
Right.
option.
Right.
So I'm
Well,
gonna check it out.
it's one of those things, and again, we're going to get into it when with our today's discussion, really, but it's one of those things where in 2020, I really started to take a good hard look at the things that mattered to me as far as expenses. Like, there's some
Mm-hmm.
brands that you just cannot get away from. This is, like paying for Amazon Prime. That's just what it is, right? But coffee, because we drink so much coffee here at the house, it gets pricey even when you buy the grounds or the beans.
Yes.
So I thought, Folgers Black Silk came through in
Mm.
2020 because I was drinking a lot of coffee. And it came through. It tastes good. I'm kind of trying to slow down and going into a light roast.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm heading into my 40s in a couple of years, I wanna kind of minimize the coffee intake a little bit. But I think people should try it.
I am definitely going to be trying it on my next grocery run because I was just like in disbelief. How did I not notice that they had a breakfast blend? And blend and house blend is my go-to for my Starbucks. But since I can't get Starbucks right now, it's not
Right.
available. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Well, here in the US, we're heading into an inflation. That's bottom line. And again, this kind of all ties into our conversation today, which is so awesome. But we're heading into an inflation. That's just what it is. Grocery prices are going up. They've already been going up 3%.
My dad
So
told me,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it's all like it all comes full
a
circle,
circle for
you know,
sure. Yeah.
because I'm not trying to work this hard just to spend it all on coffee. That's not the name of the game. Yeah, that's not the name of the game.
All right. So, who is Stephanie? And tell us about your background in marketing and the
Yes.
agency.
Yes. So, Stephanie Rubio, I was born and raised, born in Panama and raised in Texas. So, I do consider myself a Latinx small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Been in marketing and sales for years. My family had a short term rentals company in Kissimmee, Florida.
Right.
And I really got my foot in the door at 16, working with my family. And from there, I decided that, I wanted to continue that trajectory. So I was in property management for many years, um, went to school. School was, again, for me at this point now, school is very much just the gratification of saying that I'm a college graduate, but in my industry, we know what it is.
Yes.
You put your head down, you work hard, and you can make it. So it's not
Yes.
a requirement, right?
It's
And
not
so
mandatory. Yeah.
no, not anymore. Absolutely. So did that. Tried the corporate ladder.
Mm.
I am not a corporate ladder climber. It's just not for
Amen.
me. It's just not for
Yeah.
me. I'm too too much for that scene. And hats to anybody who has a side hustle, who is, working corporate America still.
Right.
Um, it's, it's beneficial, and I think it has its place for many people. But if it's not for you, it's not for you, and it wasn't for me. From there, I took a year off in 2015 to start building the business plan for the agency.
Right.
Came across some of the women that are now in our circle still,
Yeah.
like Kara Chase, a lot of women who, I thought, oh, so people are doing this, so people are actually doing this online, okay. And then I just really put my head down, that launched the agency. So Savarv Marketing Group started off as a full service marketing agency, so we were doing everything.
Everything. Right.
um, After 5 years now in, we have streamlined our service offerings. We've
Mm-hmm.
streamlined who we work with. All the things are streamlined now, which is fine, because I needed to know what we liked, and there's still those moments where we want to offer more, but
Right.
I quickly pull myself back and say, we just don't do this anymore. So we started off doing
It's hard,
branding.
right? It's hard to
Yes,
say
it's
no at
so
times.
hard. It is so hard. We started off doing branding, a lot
Mm.
of branding work, and you can appreciate this because it's, for a lot of people, it's all about the logo and the it's so listen, and it has a place, right? It has a
Mm-hmm.
place.
With
Um,
context.
it has a place, but there's so much more. And I quickly started to adapt this thought process where I am now considering myself a sort of like when you go to a dermatologist,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, first, more often than not, you're going to see your primary care physician. You're going to see someone who is going to tell you that you actually need to see a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
To work with us now, you sort of need that slip. And for me, that slip is a business plan. It's a foundation, because we were full service, we were intaking so much confusion.
Right.
And now it prohibited us in many ways, and it was a disservice in many ways too, because you have all these things that a business actually needs, right? It's not just the logo, it's not just the pretty branding and the photos and the beautiful website. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much more. And so now clients to apply to work with us must have a business plan. And they have a place. Again, a strategic business plan is not prehistoric. It's not gone away. It still has a
Right.
place. It is still required,
Right.
and is still needed. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have to touch on that before we continue, that business plan that you brought up. And we know the listeners are like, oh my God, a business plan.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be I mean, it can be as elaborate as you want it to be.
Mhm.
Give me just a second. I'm sorry about that, but it doesn't have to be as elaborate as people think. It doesn't have to be this massive undertaking. I
Okay.
think that's where professionals like yourself come in, where you are really working on foundation,
Right.
because once someone passes through that step and they're at a certain point, they're going to have to bring in a team, whether
Exactly.
it's an external team. Some people, again, a lot of the stuff, it's taxation purpose and driven. Some people do not want to have the tax implications of hiring a team. They would rather outsource that to an independent contractor. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we come in, right? But you can't expect your marketer to really do
All
all
of
of
that.
these things. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you have to come prepared.
Correct, correct. And so I started to really sort of put my head around the thought that I had to let go of certain things. And so now Subverve works on pillars. So we are
Mm.
working with email marketing and clients and their email marketing strategy and social media. But we are even considering in the future, social media may also go away. I'm open to continuing to pivot in whichever way I need to. And
I
that's
hear
what it
that.
is. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
the same way. Like I believe that if you've outgrown something and there's a something that better suits your goals and the goals of how you can serve your clients, then don't be
Correct.
afraid to pivot. Like, why are we holding on?
Correct. And just the way that social media is moving with branding and storytelling and the connection that's required between the brand and the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes having that middle person in there, whether it's one person, a social media manager, a community manager, or an agency, sometimes that creates a disconnect. And so
Right.
it's almost better to bring in a marketing agency to train your staff,
Mm-hmm.
something that we do. We do this for various industries. And then from there, you can take that in because you need that day to day, that behind the scenes, the reels, the IGTVs,
Yes.
the
And that is
lives.
something an external team just, I would say they can't do, but it's challenging. It's
It is
better
very
and it makes
challenging.
more sense for your in-house team to do that stuff.
Correct. So here locally, we do we're able to do this locally. I'm able to quickly go where we need to go. But when you have clients across the country, I mean, there's very little that can be done in that sense. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I believe that social media is shifting in the way that companies handle that. It's pretty much going to start being internal only. Yeah.
Very good. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive deeper into the source of what we're here to talk about today. And it's
Yes.
like it's perfect because we just mentioned social media is changing, but you have not been active. Well, not you, but so Verve hasn't been active on social media throughout the entire pandemic.
Right.
But, and you're here to share with us today, like, how can business owners have a healthy stream of clientele
Mhm.
without feeling like they need to be a slave to social media?
Yeah. For us, 2020 was, and I've said this in other interviews that I've done during 2020. 2020 was very validating for a lot of us, and I know yourself included, because we were having a lot of conversations about don't put your eggs in one basket, diversify your marketing streams. But for me, it went a step beyond that. In 2019, I started to really look at my numbers. I really wanted to look at my expenses because it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Running a business is not whatever income people talk about, the income that they're bringing in, but a lot of people are not talking about the expenses.
Oh, yes.
And when you're hiring top talent, and we are very proud to hire a very diverse group of women here at Soverve. So a lot of Black entrepreneurs, Caribbean entrepreneurs. We've hired Indigenous women. So and obviously Latinx as well. So we have a healthy variety of women that we work with, and we pay them well. I want to always make sure that my team is, if I know that a local company is paying $15 an hour, which now a lot of them are starting to, my team has been making way more than that an hour. I mean, that to me, those are like 2006 numbers. Like those are not, so um that I started to look at my expenses. That was the first thing. And that is the first tip that I will say, because again, we never really went through a recession that much. Obviously, the pandemic was just so different. But I
Mm-hmm.
think going further into 2021 and into 2022, we are going to be looking at an inflation here in the US. Absolutely. So things are going to go up. And so, what an entrepreneur makes as their take home pay,
Mm.
it may look a lot different. there's also a lot of talent that isn't going back to work. So that's a great
Mm.
opportunity to snatch up some good talent, right? And we'll
I
talk
have been
about that
following
too.
that conversation as well.
Yes.
Yes, we'll
So the
circle back.
competition, we'll circle back because the competition's about to be fierce. So many amazing, wonderful, talented people about to leave some big brands and companies to start their own businesses. And it's about to be very fierce and competitive, the market, I believe. So that should be fun. I love competition. I feel like that's just, it keeps everyone on their toes. But just look at your numbers. That was the first thing I did in 2019. So going into 2020, I had literally like slim down my expenses. I really looked at the team members that were going to stay on, and then how I was going to continue to work with team members and or agency partners, right? So
Mm-hmm.
was it more beneficial for me to keep people on a retainer, or was it more beneficial for me to say I'm going to send these clients over to an agency partner, right? So that almost
Yes.
becomes more beneficial from a recession proof standpoint, because that's what I was thinking. I had, obviously nobody had a clue what was happening or what was going to happen, but I thought there's going to be a recession in 2020. That's fact. So I thought, let me just get ready. So that was the first thing, and that was the first tip, is to really look at your cash flow. You got to really build a healthy cash flow.
I think people really do underestimate the power of cash flow. It's not just about getting more clients and or raising prices, but it's how you manage your cash flow. And for me, a big part of cash flow is always making sure you have a healthy stream of money coming in and managing how fast money goes out.
Correct, correct. Um, and so once the pandemic hit, all of my clients pivoted. Every single one of the 24 full service retainer clients that we had, everybody shifted. And with that, a lot of our team members that were mompreneurs started teaching at home. So I was faced with two team members that were out. One was on maternity leave. One was at home teaching. So I was, that had to be given that necessary space for people to kind of come to grips with what was happening. And then everyone shifting strategy. So things that we had already implemented, things that were already about to roll out, that became such a point for me to shift myself and my own mindset. So one of the things that I did, and this is the second point, is that I started to offer full retainers. So whether it's the 6 month, 9 month, or the 12 month, for clients to pay in advance, the full retainer up front at a discount,
Right.
because I knew that we were going to get help. Small business owners, I knew the PPP program hadn't really fully launched yet, but I knew that once the conversation of these stimulus checks were became apparent, I knew, okay, so they're going to help. They're also going to help small businesses. They're not going to let small businesses drown here. Especially for me, the huge impact happened with the health and fitness, because gyms, spas, salons, beauty salons, and then also the our food industry clients. So caterers, restaurants, I mean, these clients suffered. They had to close. I mean, they had to really pivot and close. And so I knew we were going to get some help. So I thought, if they're going to be getting these PPP loans, um, depending on what type of, how that relationship is with us, they could obviously pay themselves as payroll, and then they could pay that out. However they decide to run their numbers, but there was
Right.
help. I knew that there was help to cover costs of doing business. And so I started offering these prepays, and it worked because it definitely created a big cushion, because I want to say 75-80% of the clients took advantage of it at renewal.
Wow.
So it created this huge bubble for me to kind of really sit on top and just kind of relax a little bit, and then
Right.
just really focus on the clients. And then I
And
just
that's
paused.
And that's such a great peace of mind. I don't think people understand how important it is to like pay in full rather than paying in three parts, because it allows your service provider to work better because they are working with this peace of mind rather than, oh, I have to hustle and get to this point or get to this milestone in order to get the next payment so I can keep the lights on in my business.
Right,
So,
right. No,
yeah.
it definitely worked. And I've had clients who are also in our industry, and they have talked to me about, oh no, I get paid in advance. And I thought, how does that work with a retainer though? Like, how does that work? Because
Mm-hmm.
for us, my retainers are very much like you would an attorney. Sometimes you have to call your attorney, sometimes you don't, but you still have to write that check every month. So it depends, right? And so I thought, how would this work? But I went ahead and I did it because I knew that it was going to put a healthy space between me and any kind of friction that I could have because of the way that things were happening with the pandemic. And then that's when it was around May, that's when I started to really feel the burnout
Oh,
of it all. Yeah,
right.
that's when I really started to feel the burnout. So I thought, okay, so instead of me being so consumed with all of this content that Silver is producing, 4 to 5 podcast episodes, the podcast interviews, 4 blogs a month, newsletters to the VIPs, continuously the consultations were rolling in. Because I don't know if you recall, but I was also offering free strategic consultations because of the pandemic.
I remember
So,
that.
so again, that was kind of like a strategy, but the influx of leads that I got. So after a while, I had to shut it down, and I really thought, okay, let me just take a step back,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's okay. I'm running a small business. Um, I'm really doing this alone. I mean, I have my team, but I'm doing this alone as the CEO. I don't have a COO, right? Or
Yeah.
a VP. Yeah.
Right.
It's literally I'm the CEO. So
This is
whether
your baby.
this is my baby, so I thought, you know what? Wait a minute. I own this. I created this. I own this. This is mine. Let me just pause this. Like, no.
I can do that.
I can
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
And I don't have to, I don't know anybody explanations. I'm overwhelmed. My team is overwhelmed because remember, my team members also have businesses of their own. So they have other clients too. And
Right.
families and children and husbands and all these, like they are doing their own thing too. So I thought, no, 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 no. Let me just pause all the things and let me focus on the client. And let me focus on the client. And my clients did some miraculous, amazing, fabulous, wonderful things. They were very trusting of some of the stuff that we did together, but they're gutsy. And it's some
Mm.
of the things that my clients did to survive 2020 was incredible. And I'm so proud of all of them for all of the hard work that they did. We really put in a lot of work. So between the cash flow, just to kind of recap that. So
Mm-hmm.
between the cash flow, offering the discounted, and it wasn't a big discount, okay? It moved between 5 to 7%. So it wasn't like an astronomical discount, but it was
Hmm.
something. It was
Right.
something.
Okay.
So I did that. And then that's when I thought, okay, I'm in a good place. I don't really need to be focusing on feeding my pipeline right now
Mm-hmm.
because that's the point of marketing.
Exactly.
What's the point of marketing? Just
And
to
if and
just
if you're solid for the year, like,
like
okay.
I'm good. I'm good. Let me just take care of these clients, and that's what I did. And then the last step for me was then to then worry about and really become very focused into what I was then going to do into then 2021,
Okay.
which for me, that meant streamlining those services and those prices, and then also taking a look at what the referral strategy looked like. And that's something that we also discussed and we've
Right.
discussed at length, is really taking a look at, okay, so now that you know the better half of 2020 is over, this is already, we're looking at like October already, September. I started to look into, I take my annual retreat by myself. So it's a retreat party of one. And I really look at my numbers. I look at my numbers going into the new year. And that's when I thought, okay, my referral strategy, I need to really streamline this a little bit better. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
I had literally closed the tap on that, on the pipeline. So now that
Right.
I'm going to reopen it, I need, what is that going to look like? Am I going to be offering free clarity calls to people coming in from the referral program? What is the payout going to be for that, et cetera, et cetera? So I really
Right.
started to look at my referral program. And I'll say, online entrepreneurs are, I feel like we need to do a field trip uh, on how brick and mortar businesses do it. Because even the other day, I was having a conversation with a local professional here. And so we were doing a business transaction, and she said, "Oh, by the way, for every person that you send to me, they don't have to even sign up. They don't have to buy anything. Just the referral. Just make sure that they name you, and you will get a $50 gift card." I thought, okay, yeah, and she does great work. So I thought, she does great work. I trust her service.
What
I'm
type of
happy.
business?
She does. She's in the finance industry.
Okay.
So it's a finance industry. So I thought, yeah, this, like, nobody has to sign up, and I thought this is such a great strategy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so again, it's one of those things where, like, why do we feel as online entrepreneurs that we can't do that? Why can't we do that? Like, if somebody has a course, I've said this to you yourself, Cassia. Where's the I want the referral link to the
Right. So this is the answer to the question. I think it's just something that we overlook that doesn't get enough exposure, for lack of a better term. Like everybody
Yeah.
is doing the glitz and glamorous things. And when I say doing the glitz and glamorous, the things that get exposure as the things you should be doing to push the needle forward in your business is Instagram stories. Everything is Instagram. Instagram, reels,
I don't think I've done one
stories.
I'm gonna
Right?
do reels, y'all, just not yet.
So
But
these
I
are the
want to.
things that business owners are bombarded with. And I think
Correct.
less is more. Keeping it simple can be more impactful. So now you're doing this Instagram course and you're doing this Reels course and you're doing this Reels 30-day challenge. And then you get burnt out and then you get frustrated. And then all you needed to do is just a referral program.
All you needed to do was
But
get
people
on the
aren't
roll.
talking about that.
Yeah, people, all you need to do is get on the Rolodex. Look at, okay, let's say you don't have a Rolodex. Let's say you don't have a strong community, but you do have leads, people that have found you through
Leads
Google,
or
people
past
that have,
clients.
right, or past clients. All you send an annual, you know how much money I spend a year on client gifts? My husband, he did the boxes for 2020 in December, and I knew I shouldn't have sent him to the post office. I knew it. But I needed help because we were doing the most, and I was like, oh man, this man is gonna see this bill and he's gonna be like, Steph. And he said, Steph, is this how much these boxes at? And I said, yeah. And some people are not clients. Some people are just people that have done a consultation with me, but I know that this is something that I need to
It's a
continue
PR
to.
package.
It is what it is. Listen, it's just part of doing business.
Exactly.
So the referral program, the mindset would be, oh, but I have to pay this person. Yes, but
But you spend money on Facebook ads that give you no return anyway.
and even let's look at our phones and see the amount of hours we spend on Instagram. Multiply that times your hourly rate, which, if you're a small business owner, if you're a CEO, if you have a business, you need to have your own hourly rate because you need to be paying yourself, right?
Right.
Multiply your activity on Instagram times that amount.
Oh
Who's
my
paying
God.
you for that amount of time that you're spending on Instagram? If you're not getting any clients, why? Like, my top
I just
referral, and
love how
I've,
you said that. If you're not getting any clients,
like, wait, like, why are you on Instagram again?
because it's
Like,
the popular thing to do.
go on Google Analytics, connect it to your website, to your, hopefully you have your booking
All of the
form.
celebrity coaches are telling you Instagram, so you're doing Instagram.
No, 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 no. Your booking form should be embedded on your website so you can track who's visiting your site. If Instagram is not in the top 5 referrers, it would be Facebook, it could be organic, it could be a direct link. If Instagram is in those top 3 or top 5, what are you doing?
Hmm.
What are you doing? Why are you wasting the time? You need to, and listen, I'm not saying to be as drastic as what I did, where I said, okay, we're gonna take a full step.
Yeah, like we don't want people to think we're anti-social media because that's not what
No,
this is
no, that's
about.
not what this is about at all. What this is really taking a look at what matters. Because if the reels and the stories and the showing ups and all that is taking precedent over your client work, is taking precedent over, how you're showing up for your business as a small business owner,
Mm-hmm.
then that doesn't make
It
any
doesn't
sense.
matter. Like for me, I love Instagram. So social media for me is brand building. So my
Hmm.
referrals come through Instagram because someone I earn that know, like, and trust factor with, and they might not need my services, but they know someone else, and I get referred that way. So it's part of a bigger strategy, and I understand that. And for
Right.
me, what I would say is you really do have to take stock because not because we're saying this means don't use Instagram. Just understand how you use Instagram. So for me, I am
Right.
very clear on how I use Instagram. So I don't feel pressed to use Reels. If I have a reel for you, here you go.
Right.
For me, reels happen because I'm having fun on TikTok and this just happened to be a business related one. Okay, Instagram, enjoy this reel today because I made this TikTok and it applies to business. But for me,
Right.
I honestly think it's a circus. It's a circus. I come
Yeah,
on
it's
and everyone's pointing and everybody's walking. And I'm like, is this what business has come to?
and changing outfits every 2 minutes. Listen, I don't have time for that. Now, listen again, and then take stock of who your client is. My client
I think
is,
sometimes it just doesn't fit the brand voice.
so let me explain to you who my client is. My client is someone that they would look at someone doing reels and they would be like, I'm not doing that. They're the type of person that would say, I know I have to do this. I don't understand it. Okay.
Right.
So then they're bringing someone in to either teach an internal member or for us to do it ourselves. But again, they're not looking for real professionals to, because they don't even understand that side of the platform. They're barely even on
On
anything.
Instagram, yeah.
And again, the other day, I had the same conversation with another a local company. I said, but you guys don't even have even a claimed page on Facebook. Where is your claimed page? Like, and the answer was, well, we get a lot of our business through our referrals, so we don't really need it. So again, you can claim the page, you can leave it there, you can keep it active, but you really have to understand, okay,
Your
where are you put
energy.
are your energy? And part of marketing is not just social media. I think people have made marketing social media. And listen, businesses have been thriving for years and years, and they will continue to thrive for years and years without social media. Social media for us is important because this is what we were raised seeing, and this is our lifestyle, right? But a lot of companies are not just focusing on social. They're doing a lot more than just that. There's a lot more happening behind the scenes than just let me do marketing and then just social media marketing. That's just one hat, really. It's not
Mm,
everything. Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be my
okay.
conversation. That would be my point. That would be my point. Um people need to kind of look at how some of these successful brick and mortars have done it. What are they doing? When you go to a grocery store, I know Walmart pickup did such a great job this year. Walmart local pickup, when I go to pick up my groceries, depending on what I'm buying. I don't know how they do this. I don't know if they have a team for this, but sometimes they give me these goodie bags full of samples of product, you know?
Mm.
And again, this is a conversation, and you're going to see it because I'm doing it. Okay. Cassie and I are doing this. I've established
Yes.
this already.
Right.
Where if Cassia has something that's going to be launching, let's suppose, and this is just
Hot tea.
hot tea moment here. Okay. Take notes
Take notes.
on these gems that I'm about to drop. If you're dropping something in quarter 4, go get yourself a little postcard, print it with, all the information, discount code, we're friends with so and so. Deliver that to the person. So if Cassia has
I
something dropping,
love that you just talked about quarter 4 and we're in June, and people are probably like, what? Quarter 4?
no, no, no,
Continue.
no.
That's a
So,
gem in itself.
right. So Cassia delivers these postcards to me. So when I am meeting clients or I am having conversations with people, I can deliver this piece of a postcard in a package.
Right.
It's like when you go to an event, they give you a little PR package, they give you a little goodie bag. What
Right.
ha- what what happened to these simple old school marketing strategies that still work? People, I like getting, listen, emails nowadays. Oh boy, like you have to be on your game to get folks to open these emails, but a snail mail package, a little postcard,
Mm.
a letter. Ooh, it's like, whoa, I got a letter, because it's so old school, but it's kind of like we're kind of like in need of that extra connection.
Yes, especially after this pandemic.
Okay. Everybody's getting lost on social media. The algorithms, if you're not paying to play, we've said this for thousands of years already, it
Thousands of years.
seems. Okay. We've been saying the word pay to
Paying
play
to
for,
play.
right? So if you're not showing up in the algorithm, they cannot see you. So
Right.
let's build other strategies. Let's build it out so that we can be successful.
And I think this is why the celebrity coaches online infiltrate so well, because you're hearing for ages, as you said, rightfully so, paying to play. So when somebody comes and tells you, oh, here are my strategies that I use to make this amount of money organically, you don't have to use ads.
No, but they're using ads, and they're using. I mean, listen, the ad
Whew,
expense
the
to for
tea.
some. Yeah, for some of our clients, I'll be. This is again a moment of transparency. We're not touching ads unless we're looking at 3,000, 5,000 a campaign to start. So if you don't think that these big coaches, we're not gonna name drop, these big coaches are spending thousands and thousands, and then that doesn't include the team member that they have to hire to maintain these Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
Where that doesn't include the designer that they're bringing on for photo branding. No, no, no.
I'm
It's
always
all.
observing, right? And I noticed how somebody goes from X amount of followers to this amount of followers, but they sell Instagram as their product, right? Like, join this course, do that course. So then people think, oh, she's doing this organically. How did you grow your account? I was like, no, she didn't grow her account just from those strategies she's selling you. She's showing up on other platforms and bringing them here.
Yeah, there you go. And it's listen, TikTok is huge, it's big, it does have a place. We do
Mm-hmm.
recommend it for many small businesses, but it's kind of like with everything else. If you know it's with a lifestyle change, it's with going to college, it's with starting a business, it's with a relationship. If you're not going to put 100% into it, leave it alone. It's
Mm-hmm.
better just not to even be on there.
Yeah.
Clubhouse popped up. Everybody was all about Clubhouse for the longest time. You
Mm-hmm.
don't hear about it as much, but people were so invested in it that I know people that even went out and bought iPhones. Who does that? What? Who does that? Cassia, come on. So you gotta just be smart. You gotta be smart. You gotta you gotta be smart, and you gotta do the things that make sense. And really look at the most successful brick and mortar companies in your area. Look at what they're doing locally, right? Not just what, oh, they have an Instagram account, they have a face. No, no, no. When you go into this place of business, how are you being greeted?
Oh,
Is it
that
clean?
is brand experience. And
Okay.
when I say brand experience, people don't understand what I'm saying. So continue.
Okay. Is it clean? Because I know, like, people like my mother. My mother will not step foot anywhere unless it's like, she's such a germaphobe. Is it clean? Is it the smells? Is it the vibe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, let me rewind. How are you being greeted? How are you
Yeah.
being treated when you go? Are you being treated like, oh, good morning, good morning, right? As opposed to
Right.
good morning, how are you? How was your day? How are you? That is all part of the package. Because
Yes.
again, it takes more money to market to new customers than it is to retain the ones that you have. So long as you want them. Hey,
Right.
so long as you want
Want
them and
them.
they're right, then
Keep
give them
nurturing them.
keep nurturing and giving them that experience. Those are strategies that are way beyond just Instagram, just showing up with a pretty template and great caption, awesome hashtag strategy, fantastic. All of that could be just amazing. But that does not mean you're making money. You're not fooling anyone, okay? You're not. Some of us, listen, some of us have been
The
there. I
tea.
have
The
been there.
tea.
And
We
my
get
husband,
caught up in the wrong things.
I have been there myself. There have been moments, absolutely. There have been moments where, and businesses go through cycles. Okay,
Yes.
there's a cycle where you can either lose or just do without a client or two or three or four or five or six, and then the next month again, because you've been nurturing an email marketing strategy and sequence, and you've been kind of putting a lot of effort into your funnel and your referral strategies on point. The next month you can see that growth back up. It's a cycle. Business is a cycle. And so just don't focus just on the pretty, and really start being the CEO of your company. um so as a marketer, I kind of took that hat off last year. Again, I took that hat off for myself, and I thought, you know what, I can't be my own marketer this year. What I need to do is be my own CEO. I need to be a CEO. I need to really
And
own
that's a
my.
mindset shift.
I need to be my yeah. I need to really conduct myself proper here. Like no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not. Listen, I even went to 4 days. I don't. We work a 4 day week now. Um, 2010 was hard. Listen, I don't take
I agree.
I don't want to take away from that, because I know a lot of clients went through a lot, but I was getting calls on Saturdays and Sundays. I was getting calls at 11 o'clock at night, and I know a lot of it was fear
Mm-hmm.
from a lot of clients, and so I don't really put too much thought into, because it was such an isolated issue. Like when have we experienced it? I haven't experienced a pandemic before in my lifetime. Like many people didn't. So I don't want to
And
put
I
too much.
actually struggled with that myself because just like everyone else, I'm figuring it out. And I
Mhm.
struggled to be like, how do I show up when I don't even have the answers? I don't have the answers.
Right, right.
And nobody
So
has the answers. No one has done this before.
yeah, it was hard. It was very hard. And so but then I had that conversation in January with a coach, and um it was more consulting work. You don't mean with the word coaching, but it was consulting work. And I said to her, now that the pandemic is coming to a close, and we're going to kind of starting to
Open up.
retain some of this normality back, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
looks like,
Right.
how am I going to tell my clients, or how am I going to maneuver this? Do not call me on the weekends anymore. That was like a shift in and of itself, because now it's like,
Right.
okay, now we need to go back to the way things used to be, because they can no longer be like this. So again, I went through that, and that's part of me
Like,
saying,
what do I want my new normal to look like?
yeah, because in the middle of figuring that out, it was okay for me to say, I can't be showing up here because I have more pressing issues that I need to deal with. Social media will be there. Social media will be there once, it'll be there. It'll be there. And again, some people have this mindset of, they feel so responsible for the communities they built on
There's a
social.
fear that if I don't show up for a week or two or even a month, that there's going to be some painful consequences.
And it is. And I've touched base on this last, I believe it was last spring. I talked a lot about
Mm-hmm.
how do you come back to a place like Instagram and rebuild your engagement after taking a break. I think I did a couple of
Yes, you
podcast
did.
episode on that. And so there's a lot of content out there on that, and I know myself what that's going to look like. It's going to look like low engagement, and you have to rebuild. And so but you rebuild, but in the meantime, the business is still running at six figures. I still have my loyalists there. My VIPs are still there. And these are just community members, right? I still have my team. I still, I'm rebuilding certain aspects. So in my case, that's social, but I'm good
Right.
with that. I'm good with that, because the worst would have been to lose clients, being in a place where what am I gonna do now?
Well, in your case, you took an extended leave. But for
Mhm.
me, I just mean just simply a week, 2 weeks, a month. And I think that it really doesn't hurt you that much.
It doesn't.
I,
It
I've,
does
I've,
not.
I've tested it and it's not that bad. I
Yeah.
think the longer you're away, it starts to impact you. But I think people need to feel a bit of freedom around being able to step away when they need to,
Hmm.
and just monitor that, hey, is this going to be longer than a month?
Hmm.
Um, and if you think you need more time, but you don't want to be penalized, then make some time to schedule things so that there's still some activity.
Yeah, definitely. If you're someone, for example, someone that now that things are opening back up a little bit more, you have situations where travel is, people are traveling more, kids are out of school. If you feel like, okay, listen, I want to take some time away, I want to hit the beach or for a week or
Mm-hmm.
two with my family, definitely schedule things out and go. I have a colleague who has a small agency. She has, I don't know the extent whether these clients are full service or not, or if they're just one off services, or what that looks like for her. But I know she's got upwards of 85 clients. Okay. And I told her the other day, I said, can you take a day off? And I think the other day she finally said, Steph, I scheduled a week off for the first time in 6 years. I thought, well, good for you. I don't know how she's been able to do it. But again, people feel very fearful. They get scared. I know. Listen, I went to a pet appointment with my vet for my two little dogs the other day, and it was lunchtime. It was at noon. I showed up like
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes early. They knew I was there because I could see the girls inside. Nobody came rushing to open the door. They were having lunch. They were eating their salads. And I love my vet. I understood it. I respected it. I
Mm-hmm.
respected it.
And
I
to
wasn't
me,
gonna go anywhere.
that's boss moves. I think we should all aim to channel that energy as a CEO of our businesses and then have that actually manifest itself in our day to day, because that is something I went through as well with this pandemic. You really stop and you ask yourself, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why did we start a business for in the first place? Not to be a slave to it. We didn't
Mm-mm.
start a business and to create another job for ourselves. The point
Correct.
was to create freedom, and freedom is being able to have your time as well as income.
Absolutely. And I think you also have to take stock into the personal aspect of your life.
Of
And
course.
because, like if you were working a 9 to 5, a corporate job, you still have to come home to something, whatever that looks like for you, whatever that life looks like for you. It's an extension of your current, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I am someone that does have scalp psoriasis. I've talked about this previously. So I do have scalp psoriasis. It's triggered by stress, like most psoriasis is.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, I'm married. I have my husband, my home to manage. It's a lot, right? And so then I thought, okay, if my mental health is going to take a beating, right? And it is taking a beating. Let me just, again, you have to really see, because if I'm going to show up um, half halfway there, I'm not. It's I'm doing a
Mm-hmm.
disservice to my own brand. It's cheapening the brand, and that's not ever what you want. And people can tell when you don't really want to show up, and you're just there, and you're just like posting. You're not replying to my comments when I'm commenting. You're not really replying to my messages. So why are you here? Like, what is it? Like, you're just showing up. People can tell. So if you're not going to be engaging, if you're not there to build community, people would understand much more. They'll have a better understanding when you say, listen, my mental health took a toll. My clients pivoted. I needed time, and I gave myself that. And people will be much more understanding than if you just keep posting and you're just like not really there, you
Uh,
know?
and more than just understanding, they're gonna connect with you deeper because they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I was struggling with the same thing. Oh, now I know it's okay to take some time, go
Yeah,
easy on
yeah.
myself, etc."
Yeah, yeah, because 2020 was really a year, I think, to also have those conversations. There were a lot of conversations that needed to be had surrounding, um, Black Lives Matter. We needed to have conversations about race. We needed to have conversations about mental health, and then for small businesses, we needed to have conversations about what was going to happen moving forward. Like, a lot of businesses are still struggling. A lot of brick and mortars are still struggling. Big businesses did very well. Big businesses did extremely well. The Amazons and Walmarts of the world. Home Depot did really well. Lowe's, for example, they did very well. So because everyone was home,
Exactly.
doing home projects. So um, let's take a note. I think it's important to take a note on how like, again, just take note on how some brick and mortar brands market their businesses outside of social.
Right.
Let's adapt some of those strategies, and let's start being, bosses. Let's start being CEOs. Let's start, making better decisions,
Better
better
decisions.
financial decisions too, for our businesses, because we're not just brand strategists, marketers, web designers. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we
Yeah.
do, but in reality, we
We
are
are
the
business
business.
owners,
We're
yes.
the business owners. Yeah. And again, I always struggle with that. Are we entrepreneurs? Are we small business owners? Are we innovators? Are we, some people don't understand those different titles. I don't always like to call myself an entrepreneur. I do consider myself, though, a small business owner. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the word small has a negative connotation, but the fact is, if you're not making a certain,
Yeah.
if you're not past a
It
certain
is what it
threshold,
is.
that's just what it is,
And
right?
there's
So
nothing wrong with that.
there's
You,
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with
maybe
that.
people might feel better if they said they're a boutique business owner. Like
Yeah.
we're very like niche and cottage like
Right. There you go. And then, are you a sole proprietor? Do you have a corporation? Do you have an LLC? So these are all these terms, I think, people shy away from, like, identifying themselves as what it is. But the fact is, if you have a company that provides a service or a product, at the end of the day, you, as the leader of that company, need to start making better decisions, legal decisions, financial decisions. And I think that makes the difference. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
said. So to recap, just to make sure that I got this, is that your strategies for not being on social media and still having a healthy flow of clients is that you nurtured your current clients, you gave them the option to prepay, so you basically locked in that income and cash flow. The
Mhm.
second thing is referrals, so don't underestimate referrals. Put something in place,
Mhm.
have a referral system
Mhm.
for people to refer you, people who are not customers, people who are not clients, and then even people who are clients. Give
Mhm.
them something, give them a reason to come back, continue to nurture them. And also, you can do referrals with people who are in your industry, colleagues.
Yep. Yep.
You
A hundred
partner
percent.
up.
100%, 100%. And then just from the financial standpoint, just look at your numbers. And some people don't like to budget. They don't like to look at numbers. They don't like to look at their expenses. But just become heavily acquainted with your cash flow, heavily acquainted with your numbers. The numbers going in are great. That's how a lot of us can say, oh, we have a six-figure business. Yeah, that's what the business makes, but
But
the
how much did
business,
they keep?
yeah, but the business also pays a lot of money out. So, that's becoming acquainted with your numbers. I think is not just a strategy. I think it's just part of just your
Good
day to day.
business
Yeah,
practices. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right. So that was so good. So that brings us to the hot seat question,
Ooh.
right? So you're the first person to be in the hot seat. And I really love this question. And I'm going to be keeping this for
Hmm.
other guest podcasts.
Hmm.
And that question is, you know, obviously everyone knows it's not a secret. My background is that I am a Caribbean person, I am Trinidadian, and I serve people all over the world, right?
Hmm.
But because I'm Caribbean, of course, people, see me, they know me, and they want to know how can they do the same thing? How can they reach, a wider audience? So the hot seat question is, do you really think Caribbean people can make money outside of the Caribbean, within the region and not just on the island? And if so, what advice would you leave for them or mindset shift?
Okay. I The answer is yes.
Okay.
Period. So yes, period. Um, and we see it. I think you're a great example for me,
Right.
and I have many others. You're a great example of that. Okay, um, so not only can you make money within in the island, but then you could also make money outside.
Yes.
Um, the way to do it is network. You really need to network. So that means stepping out of your comfort zone. Okay. Really finding niches outside of your inner circle, and becoming uncomfortable with showing up in those places. So that could look like, if it's virtual, because it has to be, right? Because of the distance, it would be a Facebook group, it would be sliding into the DMs and really building community, friendships
Mm-hmm.
within the same industry, friendships within like-minded individuals. I think you and I are a great example of that.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, we're a great example of that.
I'm gonna spill the tea. When I set out on my journey to network, right, everybody was moving around in this very popular local Facebook group, and I'm gonna say it, DBS. People know that they don't see me in there anymore because I was on a mission, and it's not any kind of like shade or anything. But if you have goals, then this is a strategy. You have to go out there. So I ended up somehow in Stephanie's group, and the rest is history. Now she's here on my podcast and we work together, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And that's really is it, because your answer is spot on. It's networking. And what I have observed is that we are comfortable where we're comfortable at. We're comfortable talking to the same people and having the same types of conversations. And
Hmm.
we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, being in new spaces and having conversations. And you're good enough.
Yeah, you are good enough.
You are good
And oh,
enough.
that is so good right there. That in and of itself is so you are good enough, absolutely. And there's a lot of talent coming out of Trinidad. I know in my own podcast, or even in my own numbers. Again, I'm very data driven in my business. I see a lot of viewership, and I see a lot of readership, like in our blogs and stuff, of people from Trinidad. So I know there's a community there. I
Yes,
know part of that community is from, people that we've worked with within the community, but there's a lot of talent.
there
So
is.
there's a lot of talent, and listen, like myself as an agency owner, like I'm always looking for new talent for clients. I can't do it all. I
Tell
don't.
them
Okay, I don't want to do it all.
there's
I don't
money
want
out
to.
there
There's a
to be
lot of.
made.
Yes, there's money to be made. Pitch it. If you see that, if you see if you're a social media manager, let's just say this: if you're a social media manager and you see an account that's off, don't be scared to slide into. They may have a manager, but that's not your problem. Slide into the DMs, build community, build relationships, find out who the owners are of these companies. If it's somebody that you want to work with, that you say, okay, this person offers these services, and these services kind of coincide with mine, and I can maybe offer them something a little extra, this and that. Build community, it's you
Hmm.
would be surprised the relationships I've built with people, outside of Orlando, outside of the US, by just, saying hello in a DM, replying to a story.
We have to show
Um,
up. Caribbean people
yeah.
need to show up for themselves because I observe like this is a growing trend that, oh, get yourself a VA in the Philippines. And that's great and that's awesome. And that just
Hmm.
has me thinking, I'm not seeing that as a conversation for the Caribbean.
Hmm.
And I don't blame anybody externally. I think we need to show up for ourselves. Because
Absolutely.
I did it for
Absolutely.
myself. I'm doing it for myself. And yeah, I have just been making some observations.
Yeah. I'm a strong believer in keeping funds, my payroll, as close to home as possible.
Right.
And because, I was born in Panama, I have family in Puerto Rico, and friends, Trinidad, and Santo Domingo, and all these places. I want to keep funds on this side of the hemisphere. So it's not. I get it. I get why people do it. I mean, listen, Jeff Bezos, I'm sure he outsources to, other countries, but that's great. But I think small business owners really, really need to start looking out for one another too.
Amen.
And I think that's part of it. I think, where, how you choose to handle that side of your business when it comes to like payroll and your team, really matters. I like to hire talent though. If it's someone that I know is very talented, even my agency, my preferred agency partners, like yourself, I'm not concerned with, like, I don't even think I know your full rates, to be quite frank, if we're going to be transparent on this podcast. I don't need to know your I just know that your work is good, and I love your work, and I know how the experience you're going to give our clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like referring somebody at your job. You're not going to bring somebody at the job who shows up late,
Mm-hmm.
who isn't dressed to impress, who just shows up like, I'm just here for a paycheck.
Yes.
So
I'm glad you
again.
touched on that because I kind of had this conversation starting to help my local people have that mental shift. And they were
Mhm.
like, oh, well, I think, people got this, the Philippines and those people get their start because of Fiverr and people are going there because they're cheap. And I was like, everything in business is not just about who is the cheapest. We have a
It's
lot
not.
more to offer. And this is not to like pin the Philippines against the Caribbean, but maybe I will take back the word more. But we have other things that work to our advantage that we
Mhm.
should tap into and don't think, oh, well, price is what we need to
Yeah.
compete on.
Yeah, I don't think it's price. I think it's experience. I think people will pay for that. And
Mm-hmm.
again, if you have depending, listen, I don't want to take away from budgets or financials, because if a business does need to hire, somebody on Fiverr, right? That's listen, you're a business owner, you make your own financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to a long-term retainer on a virtual assistant, a online business manager, I'm just thinking of
Relationship.
yeah, or just these community managers for social media. Think these type of titles, you need retainers. You need somebody that's going to be on your team and build. I don't necessarily want to hire somebody from Fiverr for that.
Exactly.
um a little postcard where you already have a logo, you already have colors, and somebody just needs to put it all in Adobe. That's one thing. But when you're hiring for some of these other positions, I want somebody that
You're going to
is a
build a
professional.
long-term relationship with.
100%, 110%, especially if I'm opening my books to them, especially if they're going to see my client roster. Uh, yeah, no. This has to be a solid relationship with a professional. And yeah, I mean, one of my team members is from Turks and Caicos. I have team members all over the world. I do,
Mm-hmm.
but I have never dipped into hiring somebody out of the Philippines, and I just don't know. I don't know if it sits well with me,
Mm-hmm.
hiring somebody and paying them that little. It just, something about that just doesn't make,
It feels like exploitation.
it feels like exploitation. I don't
But
like it.
I
It just,
just sit back in the Facebook groups and I observe.
yeah, it just doesn't feel right with me, because then at the same time, for example, as women, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into a little bit of a thing here. As women, right? We're myself as a Latinx small business owner, I am advocating for Black women to be seen, to be heard, and to be paid. How can I then say I'm gonna okay, I'm gonna post Black Lives Matter, so cute, and then go and hire somebody out of the Philippines when I have people within my community? And that's what I'm saying. Your business could be making six figures. That's awesome. But then part of that advocacy is taking a chunk of what you're making and paying the people that you're advocating for, because then it doesn't, one thing doesn't make sense. Me posting Black Lives Matter is just me posting Black Lives Matter. That's fantastic, super duperly. But no, no. Who are you serving? How are you servicing them? Are you hiring them? Are you referring them? Listen, listen.
I'm
It's
sorry,
a
my
lot.
coffee is done because I'm just here like this because this is all of the tea.
It's a
Because,
lifestyle. It's a
no,
lifestyle.
you definitely hit on some tea there because the groups that I'm seeing this in, especially, are Black groups and Black people talking about hiring people for next to nothing. Like,
And
uplift your community. But
and
who?
there's a conversation there about the experience, because the Black women that I've worked with are women of excellence, are women that they believe in excellence, they walk in excellence and in their purpose, and so they're expecting that in return. So that's another conversation too, because I know that that's a fear as well, and something that within the Black community I think it has to be discussed is, how are we, and that's just feedback that I've received, is how are we servicing our own people? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's another bit. But um but that's nothing, that's some training, I know you provide that
Exactly.
I know you provide your VIP days. That's just some training. That's just investing in yourself, investing in your business, getting your eggs in a row, and then going out there and showing up. That's all it is.
Spot on, spot on. And you really hit the nail on the head because this is why I
Okay.
introduced this hot seat question, because as I look at what's happening with the economy due to COVID, people are really asking me more and more how to do this. And listen, I can't refer you to people if you're shit in together. But
Mm-hmm.
first have the mindset shift, position yourself, and I could help you get your business and your ducks in a row so that you are properly ready to do business internationally.
There you go.
So
It's
it's
it
like you said, it just needs some training, and I'm here to help you
Yeah.
get
And just be
trained.
realistic. Just be realistic. If you've been in business 1 to 3 years, you're not going to go out there. Again, the investments that you make have to be parallel to where you're at. Everything takes time.
Mm.
Don't come out of the gate asking for five figures when you've only been in business for a year, and you come out right. And I know people grow, and people are, listen, I know I can speak for myself. I know that my team is paid well, and I know I'm not the only one. And I've talked about this plenty, and I don't care, because people need to be paid well.
Well,
Life is expensive. Listen, again, we're about to be in an
I
inflation
mean, if
year.
we're really about empowerment through our businesses, then we
Okay,
should be empowering people through paying them well.
pay them well. Pay people and pay them well. Pay for their experience. Pay for their knowledge. Pay for their time, their loyalty. Pay. You gotta just pay people. Okay, that's it. That's what it is. That's what it is, y'all.
Awesome. So, Stephanie, any closing thoughts? How can people reach out to you? What do you have for them? What is your call to action?
Definitely. Listen, just follow me on social. You can follow us on Instagram. We talked about this. We're revamping a few things. Our Facebook group is coming back. So we're going to be relaunching our
Awesome.
Facebook group. So that should be a lot of fun, a lot of a good conversation there. So that is underscore SOVERVE on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. And then just follow my personal, because if you want more of this type of tea, I definitely dish it out there from a small business owner standpoint. And that's Stephanie V. Rubio. Cassie, you'll just provide them the
Yes,
links.
I'm
Yes.
going to
So
link all of that in the show notes.
definitely. And the conversation really coming up in quarter 3 is all about quarter 4. So if you're someone that is going to be launching absolutely anything, specifically to my e-com business owners, I want to talk to you. Definitely join the community. If you visit the site, there's and if you see that you fit one of the industries that we service, definitely sign up for the newsletter. There's going to be lots of, I mean, just a plethora of goodies we're launching in July. So we're just ready to go. I'm
Woo!
excited.
That's good. All right.